receptors in the brain. If you administer it to someone who has overdosed, it can be miraculous. The person will start breathing, they will wake up. And I think my law enforcement colleagues would say it is perhaps one of the most gratifying experiences to witness someone really rising from the dead. It is also potentially a very frightening process for everyone around, because you are literally putting someone into withdrawal. So this is a person who's addicted. Yeah, they overdosed, but now you have put them into withdrawal. So naloxone is a great drug to save a life. It is not a cure. It's not even a treatment except to prevent that death. If we save someone, we need to move on to the next steps and get them into treatment. But the last thing I really wanted to emphasize is that with all the naloxone in the world, if everyone in the world were carrying it and able to administer it to anyone who overdoses, what we have are people who are addicted who have been saved from death. We still need to treat them. But even if we had all the treatment in the world, unlimited access to the medically assisted treatment and all the social and psychological supports that are needed, even if we had all of that, we would still have a pipeline of young people who are becoming addicted. Every day in the United States, an estimated 3,600 people started misusing the prescription opioid for the first time. So if we are truly to affect this epidemic, to truly reverse this trend, we need more than naloxone, more than medically assisted treatment, more than, what we need is to first reduce access to the drugs. The medical community is learning its lesson, reducing the prescribing, changing prescribing practices. Public health is now working to try and get these drugs out of medicine cabinets. But we have to work even further upstream. We need to build healthy, resilient families so that kids grow up understanding the limits of these drugs, the hazards they pose, and are prepared to be resilient in a culture that, quite frankly, supports the use of psychoactive substances. Be it caffeine. Caffeine's a psychoactive substance. Pretty mild, you'd say, but we put it in soft drinks that our kids are taking. Nicotine, a legal drug, psychoactive. All of the prescription opioids, which we have come to expect if we have an injury. And they have their place. They're invaluable drugs when a person has acute pain. But we have to change an entire culture, and we have to give our kids the resilience to understand they live in a culture that's going to challenge them, and we can do something to help build that resilience. Implementing a secure medicine take-back program. So Representative Peterson is leading the charge at the state level. We here in Snohomish County are really fortunate. The Board of Health here, thank you very much, Adrian, has passed an ordinance that requires the pharmaceutical industry to pay for a drug take-back program that will make the take-back sites available in every pharmacy and the hospitals. So it'll be easily accessible to anyone. You have to go into a drugstore to pick up a medicine, or just because you need to, these days you can buy a carton of milk there, you'll be able to drop off your medicines. That's really an important step. Let's clean out the medicine cabinets. One of my former Board of Health members is a realtor, and he said, it's well known in the real estate industry that after showing the house, they'll often have the owners come up and say, someone pilfered my medicine cabinet. We all have a role to play in this. Supporting syringe exchange and access to naloxone. So the people who are at highest risk are those folks who are already injecting. We have a syringe exchange program. Not only does it keep needles off the streets, but it gives us access to the very highest risk population. If we can get them naloxone, we may be able to get them into treatment as well. So we're trying to get out into the community. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chloe, who is going to tell you the really good stuff about how we manage this epidemic.
Hi, my name is Cleo Harris, and I am the Snohomish County Treatment Specialist. And tonight, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what I know about addiction. You have to bear with me. I really am a little uncomfortable with all the lights and being on the stage. So one of the first things I want to talk to you about that's not on this slide is Dr. Goldbaum brought up our culture and the fact that we don't want to hurt. And I just want to point out a couple of things so that people are aware, maybe become more aware. How many commercials do you see in an evening of watching TV that deal with stomach discomfort, headaches, for our kids, for ourselves? I mean, there's a medication to be taken for everything, and it's all through our culture, our media, our TV shows. I mean, I'm going to age myself here. I remember watching Dallas and J.R. Ewing coming home from wherever he was and pouring himself a drink saying he had a bad day, and that was going to kind of fix it. So that awareness would be really helpful in combating some of the addictive behaviors that we all seem to are noticing. So just wanted to bring that up. So I want to talk to you about that one perfect thing. So Dr. Goldbaum referred and talked a little bit about the physical dependence of addiction and a lot of people continuing to use to avoid withdrawal, and that's true. And people wonder sometimes, why does somebody use again after they've stopped for a little bit? And it's that one perfect thing. Do you remember having that one perfect piece of pizza, that one fantastic steak dinner or lobster dinner? I mean, that one that every time you have that from now on, you think about it and compare it to that one? So when somebody experiences that first euphoric high, and that's what they think about. Even after they've gotten clean, when they think back, they don't necessarily think about all the negative. They think about that one time, and it could be recreated. And that thought of just one more time isn't going to hurt me. I can stop again. It's no big deal. So I want that to be kind of in your consciousness. That's part of that. The other thing is the if-onlys. I've been working in the field since about 2005, and I've heard a lot of families and talked with a lot of families. And they would say things like, if only I was a better wife, if only I'd been a better husband, if only I'd gotten better grades in school, if only I was a better parent. The if-onlys will eat you up. The addiction isn't because you don't love the person enough, it's not because they don't love you. Those if-onlys can keep you in a really dark place. So what I want to talk to you about with that is self-help or community connectedness for yourself as well as for the person who's using. I mean, we know about AA and NA, we've heard about it, we've seen some stuff about that, and those are really good programs. And a lot of people can get help there, but there's also Al-Anon and Nar-Anon and stuff that's available for family members, people who love you, friends. For somebody who knows somebody with an addiction, it can help you learn healthy boundaries or learn what's going on with yourself too. Those are really great supports. It's really important for people who are using it to get into recovery to really get connected. Because when you're in the midst of your addiction, it's quite common to become isolated and back away from others, and that has a lot to do with shame, guilt. They sometimes could see the if only in your eyes, or maybe you said it, right? So getting some community connectedness is really huge in recovery. There's also the treatment part, and Dr. Goldbaum mentioned a little bit about treatment, and there's a lot of growth in the treatment industry, so to speak. I mean, way back when treatment first started, it was all based strictly on 12-step. Now, counselors in the field, that we have quite a few of them in the audience here tonight, and I appreciate that. But they have education behind them, experience talking with clients and experiences of their own. So treatment could be very valuable. And there's a variety of treatment. I'd be more than happy to talk more about that, but in the interest of time, if you do want to contact me and talk about it, more than happy to. The other thing I want to talk a minute about is post-acute withdrawal. So you understand what withdrawal is, right? I mean, so a person comes off the drug and they experience this set of symptoms because the substance is no longer in their system, right? So for opiates, which is what we're talking about tonight, it's like the flu times 100. So we're talking diarrhea, vomiting, the cold chills. You feel like you're going to crawl out of your skin. It's not pleasant. And that lasts, 5 to 10 days, maybe 12, kind of depends on how much you had in your system, etc. But then there's this post-acute withdrawal that happens after that. And we call it oftentimes a sign of recovery because it means you're not using. But the person could be angry, they could have mood swings, a little bit clumsy, some forgetfulness going on, irritability, they can't sleep well. If they get to sleep, they wake up, they can't go back to sleep. That's post-acute withdrawal. And that has a lot to do with their body trying to heal, their brain, their nervous system trying to heal. The hard thing with that is that all of those symptoms, just imagine it for yourself, make you stressed. You get stressed out when you feel that way. Well, stress causes those symptoms to get worse, which makes you stressed out, which makes those symptoms worse. And if you don't understand that, then it's really hard to say, okay, I'm just experiencing this, and if I exercise, or if I eat, or if I try to sleep, or if I do these things, I might feel better. You just keep getting stressed, and pretty soon, the most sane thing you think that you can do is use. Because those symptoms will go away. You won't feel that way anymore because you won't be feeling, right? Except for some guilt and shame oftentimes. But post-acute withdrawal is one of the reasons that people relapse. So that's what makes it so hard to get and stay clean, part of it. We could say, being in the same environment definitely plays a role. Not having a home to go to, not having a place to sleep, not having people around you who care about you. Seeing the substance, there's all kinds of triggers, but there are people who find recovery even in that same environment. So some of these other things, that one perfect thing, kind of glorifying, not following through with some counseling of some nature, taking care of mental health issues perhaps, and then the post-acute withdrawal. So those are things that can definitely make it hard to stay clean. I want to talk to you for a second about medication-assisted treatment. So Dr. Goldbaum talked about methadone, Suboxone, and Vivitrol, and those are available in our community. Unfortunately, the capacity isn't what we necessarily like it to be, and we are working the county with the Behavioral Health Organization and the Health District to increase capacity. And yes, it can be considered a substitution. I think of it as a medication. And I want you to understand that difference. If I'm taking methadone or Suboxone to help me take care of my cravings, and to get rid of the withdrawal fear, and to becoming stable, I'm taking a medication for that. Can it be abused? Unfortunately, yes. Although I don't know many who would abuse Vivitrol. But sure, it can be abused, but for folks who are trying to stay clean off of opiates, it's one more opportunity. Is it for everyone? Absolutely not. Does everybody need medicated assisted treatment? No. But this is one more avenue, right? We don't have all the answers to what would get somebody clean and stay clean and never use again. So there's a bunch of different tactics because it's very individual. What works for one doesn't work for all. So with medicated assisted treatment, the pros for using it, it's long acting. It lasts about 24 hours, where if somebody takes heroin, within about 3 hours or so, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less, depending on how much they had or if they were just trying not to be sick. But, so they're looking for it relatively quickly, whereas methadone and Suboxone last for about 24 hours. So some of those behaviors, that searching, that type of thing, doesn't need to happen. They're seeing a doctor as well as counseling. Okay, so there's some counseling requirements, but they're also seeing a doctor, and we know that with addiction, most oftentimes, people don't take care of their physical health. So that's kind of a plus in my book. It reduces craving, it can eliminate withdrawal. It's evidence-based. We have a lot of studies that go over what the benefits of this particular type of treatment are. If somebody is pregnant, unfortunately the withdrawal from opiates can cause miscarriage. So oftentimes doctors will recommend that a woman be on methadone or Subutex, which is Suboxone without the naloxone. It improves brain function. Again, like Dr. Goldbaum said, some of that fog kind of disappears. They're not as worried about getting that next fix. That doesn't have to be their focus because they're not experiencing the physical craving. And it decreases those risky behaviors. The cons, there's still dependence. If somebody comes off of methadone or Suboxone, they're still going to go through withdrawals. There is physical dependence. Overdose can occur, especially if it's mixed with a benzodiazepine like Xanax or with alcohol. There are possible side effects that some people just can't tolerate and don't like, and they have to commit to a daily regime. This medication, outside of Vivitrol, has to be taken daily. Vivitrol can also be an injection that lasts 30 days, and what that does is it blocks the receptors so that the person cannot experience the euphoria associated with using an opiate. So the Human Services Opioid Project is kind of been my passion the last couple of years. And so just really quick, in around 2013, 2012, 2013, my previous supervisor recognized that the trends were really horrifying and scary with the death rates in Snohomish County. And so she had written a grant asking HIDA for some money to help support a project around naloxone. And Snohomish County Human Services received that grant. And what that grant was for is to provide naloxone training and naloxone to law enforcement and other community partners. And so we have been diligently working to train law enforcement. So the Linwood officer that got trained last week, I was there for his training. So we contracted with a doctor, Dr. Cartman out of Bellingham, and he oversees our program. And I can tell you that I found out yesterday that there have been 60 opiate overdose reversals by law enforcement in Snohomish County since we started this program on April 22nd, 2015, which is huge. So thank you to the law enforcement for their participation in that. One of the second things that we're doing is we're trying to create public awareness. So we have a public awareness campaign, and my coworker in the back, Amanda Frankie, our risk and resilience specialist in the county, has been working to develop billboards like the one on the back wall. You can see those around, signs on buses, my t-shirt. But to get the information out to friends and family of folks who may possibly overdose, that naloxone is available. And there are pharmacies in our community, in our county. There's, I think, 13 of them that have a collaborative understanding with Dr. Goldbaum. And you can go into those pharmacies and you can ask for naloxone. And they will sell it to you. I will tell you the prices vary. I will tell you that Medicaid covers most of it, if you have Medicaid. And there's a list on the back table of all the pharmacies in Snohomish County that do have naloxone available. And there's also the stopoverdose.org website that you can go to, and they keep that updated with those pharmacies. And I believe the health district website as well. Heather has a list as well. Connection to services. What we're trying to do now, so that we've done the trainings of a lot of the law enforcement, we're continuing that. We have the public awareness campaign going on. But what happens after they've had the naloxone, right? It's like, okay, so we helped you breathe again, and now what? We just say, okay, good luck? So that's been a question that's been troubling us, and HIDA has continued to fund our project, and as well as some of the county council and our leadership has also been supportive in funding this. So we're developing a program to have a liaison, a person that after a person has received naloxone, this liaison will contact them and try and help them figure out what their needs are as far as like housing and that type of thing, and also get them connected to treatment. So I'm really excited for that next phase. Stay tuned, more will be coming on that. So far, it has on my slide presentation, there's been 682 law enforcement community partners trained to administer naloxone. And I did this slide presentation, a couple of months ago now. And as of last week, we had 887 trained personnel. So naloxone, the different kinds that you can get at the pharmacy, there's an injectable naloxone. You inject it into the arm or the upper top of the thigh muscle. And so that you know, right after this, then I am doing a public naloxone training that you're welcome to stay for. But if you go to a pharmacy to pick up naloxone, the pharmacist will train you on how to use it and what to look for, just so that you're aware of that. So there's the injectable naloxone. Down in the lower left is Ivzio, and that's an auto-injector, and that actually talks you all the way through on how to use it, and it is an injectable as well. It goes into the thigh. It's quite expensive. I'm not sure of any of the pharmacies that are carrying that right now, but it is the most expensive one. There's the intranasal naloxone on the upper left, and that's the kind that we were dispensing to law enforcement. So it's a nasal adapter, it screws on, and that's what I'll be showing after this tonight. And so it's nasal, and you would squirt some up each nose, so there's no needles, that type of thing. And then the one on the bottom left is the Narcan nasal spray, and that was recently FDA approved, and that's what we've gone to now for our law enforcement and other community partners. So it's one shot, nothing to put together, pretty simple. So what can you do? This is the next thing that I'm asked a lot. What can I do? What difference can I make? Learn about the problem. You being here tonight is a good step. It's a community problem. This isn't an addict problem. This isn't a poor person's problem. This isn't a rich person's problem. This is everybody's problem. It's our community. These are our young people who are dying. These are our older folks who are living on the streets. Okay, learn about it. That's a good start. Start recognizing what an overdose is, right? Call 911 if you see somebody in trouble. Do rescue breathing, chest compressions, use Narcan or naloxone, carry it with you. So I did a training on this, it's been about a year and a half ago, naloxone training. And I did it at a community site. And a few months later, I was talking with a police officer that I know, and he said this woman had called 911 because she saw somebody collapsed on the sidewalk, and from the training, she kind of recognized that that was an opiate overdose. So she called, and he showed up, and he deployed his naloxone. And she said, you know, I never thought I would need to get that. I never thought I'd ever see that in my community. I was just going to the grocery store. Something to think about. We have to look out for each other. The other thing that we need to work on together is reducing stigma, increasing awareness. There's not shame about this. This is a disease. And the sooner we start reducing that stigma, where people can talk about what's going on and help one another, we stand a better chance. Being aware of you and your family's medications, that's huge. The Take Back program is going to be significant. So many people start out with, hey, I have a headache, here, take this. What is it? I don't know, but it was in my mom's medicine cabinet. So being aware of that. Taking a look at quality substance use treatment. That's one of my jobs and has been for the last several years is helping treatment agencies in our community that accept low-income Medicaid treatment with technical assistance and some oversight. We now have a behavioral health organization that does that as well. And I have to tell you that, you know, we have some really quality treatment. We have some quality counselors in our community. One of the problems is it's a very small workforce. It isn't growing, unfortunately. So if anybody's interested in becoming a CDP, Edmonds Community Colleges has a great program, just to throw that in there. Skagit College does as well. Building community and a sense of connectedness. So coming together as a community, joining hands with those who suffer from the disease, those who have experienced, those in recovery, those who are in treatment. All of us have to come together. One size does not fit all. And then support people's recovery. You know, what kinds of things can help you support somebody who's in recovery? Support your family member who's suffering with this disease the best that you can. Help them get into services. Encourage their recovery. So, real quick, I want you to know that everybody's life matters. I know we hear that a lot in the news today, don't we? Somebody who has an addiction to an opioid, they matter. They matter. The family that loves them, they matter. This is serious stuff. Our people are dying. Our friends and our family. There's been suffering with this in a lot of silence and hidden or out on the streets alone. We don't have to continue that. I appreciate you being here today. I appreciate you supporting folks in recovery and understanding that the folks who aren't there yet, they need some understanding too. Thank you.